Hi everyone. Today is Monday, March 11, 2019. My name is Brian McInerney. I'm the hydrologist here with the National Weather Service. And this is the March version of the Utah Water Outlook, and it's the longer, more technical version. So in essence, during the month of February, we had phenomenal amounts of precip during that time. And if you look, there's a couple of features that occurred during here. We had low pressure coming out of Alaska and the Aleutians up in this area on a constant basis. Also, we had features that would push atmospheric rivers that would come on the southern end of the area, and we had the combination of these two produced precip 200 to 300% during the month of March, during the month of February, which was phenomenal. So when you look at it, and you look at precip from October through January, we won't include February in this just yet. What you see is cool colors, and that indicates above average precipitation over most of the area during that time. We were in the 110 to 130% in that light aqua. In the darker colors, we went up to even 150 to 200% in some areas, really quite well. But then we moved into February, and this is what we saw. Some of that purple areas are 200 to 300% precip during the month, and that navy color is 150 to 200%. When you combine all that for the water year, October through the end of February, this is what you see for Utah. Very good precip all around, above average, roughly about 130 to 150%. And then where it counts, when you look at February, most of the northern mountains had 150 to 200%, with some areas in the south and even the eastern Uintas up at a 200 to 300% precip. When you put it all together from October through February in the mountains, where it counts, farther north mountains 110 to 130, but what you see is the bear and the green are on the short end, and it's just how that weather came through. The atmospheric rivers down south really put a lot of precip and snow in the southern mountains, and then those lows that came through put enough to keep us above average. But you can see anything that was southerly aspects did better, and that's due to the flow that came out of those atmospheric rivers. When you look at temperatures, and this is important, when you look at February, that green colorization is cooler than average, roughly about 5 to 7 degrees above average. Some areas are a little colder, but it was key that we had cold temperatures during this month. And then when you look at the meteorological winter, December, January, February, what you see is average to colder than average temperatures for that time frame. This is exactly what we needed. Cold temperatures, lots of moisture, which produces lots of snow. Speaking of snow, let's start with the Bear River drainage, and I've done these graphs all very similar. Snow water equivalents on the y-axis, time is on the x. The red is the average. The aqua is 2017, only 2 years ago. And then the green colorization is last year, which was anemic, and we're the blue. So when you look at the Bear River drainage group, we'll talk about median, even though the line has average. It's 119% of median. When you look at the Weber, compared to average and compared to those other years, we're at 121%, and that's of today. Six Creeks, the areas off of Salt Lake County, Little Cottonwood all the way around to City Creek, 137, and really getting up close to 2017, which is nice to see. Utah Lake, 145%. And when you think of that, it's Provo Canyon is a really good ramp for southwest flow, and they do much better in southwest flow. That's why Utah Lake is higher than what the surrounding neighbors are. Duchesne, really on the southerly aspect of the Uintas, also very favorable in southwest flow at 141%. The Upper Green didn't really get much of that, 105%. They were pretty much shut out. We're talking about 105, but the Upper Green and the Bear has been doing much better in years past. Lake Powell, this also includes basins in Colorado at 133% of median, very close to 2017, if not right on there. And then the Sevier, 143%. You can see that blue line blowing right through 2017. Very good numbers for down south. And then the Virgin, which is also nice to see, surpassed 2017 and is currently at 173%. So when you look at it visually, this is what you see as far as snowpack goes. All healthy numbers. The farther south you go, the better it gets. But really, We would even take average when we were looking at last year. We're doing much better. So let's take a look at water supply. The actual numbers forecasted by the Colorado Basin River Forecast Center here. And we'll look at 2 points: Woodruff Narrows Reservoir and then Stewart Dam. Woodruff Narrows Reservoir is at 100% average or 110% median. And you can see that line going up. The volume of water in thousands of acre feet is on the y-axis. Time is on the x. The dashed line is median. The straight line, solid line, is average. And you can see each forecast the River Forecast Center made. It was in January's forecast, is that vertical kind of pink line, February, and then March. And then that middle number is the 50th percentile, where you see the model kind of shifting around. That's that blue line that squiggles. It's run every day by those people. They do a very good job. And right now the forecast is what you see, 100% average. When you go up to Stewart Dam, 63% average, 97% median. And then what we'll do is slide over to the Weber, and we'll look at 3 points there: the headwater point at Oakley, East Canyon, and then Pineview. When you look at Weber at Oakley, 103% average, 105% median. What you notice is that blue line is increasing as the storminess continue, but the snowpack is on some very, very dry soils due to last year's record low water year and then the very hot summer. It's going to take some melted snow water equivalent to go into those pore spaces, and we're going to lose that to fill up the soil moisture. That's why these numbers are smaller than the snow numbers for the most part. And then East Canyon, 122% of average, 127% median, and then Pineview at 131%, 151% median, and that's really climbing. This area is, the forecast is going up. That's what you want to see. Last year the forecast just kept going down. It was quite depressing. Little Cottonwood, City Creek, we'll look at these two. Little Cottonwood is currently at 121% average, 131% median, climbing, and that's good. City Creek, 94% average, 122% median. And then we'll slide over to Utah Lake, and we'll look at the Provo near Woodland, and then we'll look at Spanish Fork near Castilla. Provo near Woodland at 119% of average, 118 of median, again going up, which is what you want to see. Spanish Fork near Castilla, 130% average, 191% median. This area has been dry, even in some of the better years we were hanging on. This was pretty rough space, so it's good to see they're doing better. The Duchesne, we'll look at Strawberry, the Duchesne at Tabiona, and then we'll look at Knight's Diversion. And we'll start with Strawberry at 124% average, 183% median. Duchesne near Tabiona, 106% average, 122% median. And then over to Knight's Diversion at 111% average, 124% median. All very healthy numbers all throughout this area. Up into the price, we'll go down into the price, and we'll look at Schofield and then Joe's Valley. Schofield at 144% average, 169% median, and climbing. That was well done. Joe's Valley, 123% average inflow forecasted and 150% median. And then the Upper Green. This is where we'll take a look at some numbers that are probably the most anemic this year, which is average, but you know, we'll take that. 88% average, 102% median, so a little bit below average but close to median. And again, they're on the uptake, but still the storms just didn't get up this way due to that southerly flow and any of the lows that came off of the Aleutians in Alaska. They kind of went into the central part and the Wasatch. When you look at Flaming Gorge, 85% average, 100% median. And then Lake Powell, we'll look at 2 points: Cisco, and then Lake Powell itself. Cisco is the Colorado near Cisco as it comes across the border from Colorado into Utah, and that's at 108% average, 122% median. And then Lake Powell itself, 102% average, 113% median, and it's going up. And that's, if you look at the last official forecast on this graph, and then you look at where the model is taking this, we've improved by about 2,000, 2 million acre feet from the last time the model was run in March. So that's good news for Lake Powell. The Sevier, Hatch, and then down near Marysvale on Paiute Reservoir, Severe at Hatch 129%, average 172% median. And then Paiute Reservoir at 138%, average 191% median. We'll look at 2 points here, the Virgin and Littlefield. And the Virgin at 112% average, 159% median, and then Littlefield at 106% average, 182% median. There's a big disparity between average and median when you get in southerly Utah, and that's due to the variability of what you can get on any given year. And the average really pulls things up or down. You know, you have outliers on that, so you get a big difference between these two. When you look at the spring snowmelt runoff volume forecast, in graphic form, that's what you see, all greens and aquas, which is wonderful. We'll take that. And then when you look at drought, our drought keeps shrinking. Now, as of March 5th, we're abnormally dry, which is that yellow area, and the rest is in the gray categorization of moderate drought, and that's wonderful. And even the area of Colorado, that area had the biggest drought, and really when you went back to the fall months, we had the biggest drought categorization of the entire country. So there you have it. This is Brian McInerney, the hydrologist with the National Weather Service. There's my contact info. Feel free to get with me if I can shape this data any way or different. One thing to consider, as of today on the 11th, we've got one more storm system moving through on Wednesday, and then we're going to dry out for about 10 days, it looks like. So unfortunate news, but hopefully it's just a little dry spell and we'll go back to being wet, but we'll see how that goes. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this, and we'll go from there. Thank you.